In most of the popular sports played around the world, it's not surprising that generally men perform better than women. However, in sports that are predominantly skill-based, it's possible for women to compete favorably with men, and there are plenty of examples of that happening. So sit back as we give you our balanced verdict on whether or not women should compete against men in sports. We'll start with the arguments in favor of women competing against men in sports. First up, the physicality argument is not valid for all sports. There is more to sports than just physical challenges. Certain sports put an emphasis on physical aspects, while others put an emphasis on talents. Take the sport of tennis as an example. Those who are larger and more physically adept have an advantage in certain aspects of the game, but players who are more talented in terms of their skills have an advantage overall. Roger Federer, for example, is not the tennis player with the most impressive level of physical ability, but he is almost certainly the player with the highest level of skill. In addition, no one who has ever seen Serena Williams play tennis can disagree that her unmatched level of talent is the primary factor behind her 23 Grand Slam victories, although her muscles definitely help. Her abilities are what propelled her to the top spot in the Universal Tennis Ranking, where she now sits. Although men and women may have physically distinct features, there is no difference between them in terms of their abilities. This is the reason why former tennis great John McEnroe was met with criticism in 2017 when he denied Serena Williams as the sport's greatest tennis player and instead stated that she may be the sport's finest female player. McEnroe's comments were met with reaction. Everyone should have the same chance to compete in professional sports where the value of one's talent far transcends the relevance of one's physique. This should be the case. Moving on, the natural selection route should be given priority over gender. Much like in men's sports, only women who are good enough to be drafted to a certain team and will receive the chance to participate will only be permitted to compete against men in professional sports. One of the most compelling reasons why women should be permitted to compete against males in the same professional sports leagues as men is that. That's exactly how it looks in sports with a lot of competition. The mechanism of sports known as natural selection weeds out ineffective players, and this occurs regardless of the player's gender, level of physical ability, race, or religion. Following up, it's society's duty to stop segregation in sports. There are various ways in which the socialization of boys and girls in terms of athletics is very different. For example, they are frequently guided in different directions, and their distinct abilities are often reinforced before biology has made its first imprint. This is the legacy of discrimination, prejudice, and stereotyping that has been passed down the generations for hundreds of years, and it has no place in the society of today. The sports of a certain culture are an essential component of that culture. It is generally acknowledged that they are the primary motivating factors for societal movements and trends. Just take a look at Megan Rapinoe, the co-captain of the United States women's national soccer team. She's a leading voice in the campaign for equal pay, along with Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles and many other women. As long as we maintain our support of this type of stereotypical casting, we will continue to contribute to its perpetuation. It is time for the culture of our society to end tolerating acts like this. It is not only about the games. What really matters is how we evaluate and appreciate one another as individuals. Now let's look at the arguments against. Adding to this, there won't be a level playing field. As per Warren Fraley, a professor of physical education, the delightful tension of uncertainty of outcome is what makes professional sports so appealing. It might help to break the tension if women participated in particular sports. When it comes to short sprints, even the most talented women have a difficult time keeping up with the average male athlete, which puts them at a disadvantage when competing against men. This can be linked to a range of causes such as differences in testosterone levels, inherent strength, and muscular mass, as well as socially produced gender inequities. Another possible explanation is that women are genetically inclined to have smaller muscles than men. The controversy was stoked recently by the question of whether or not transgender women should be permitted to compete in sports traditionally reserved for women. Some people consider that to be cheating. After all, permitting women to participate against males in such activities would be like permitting a boxer weighing 120 pounds to enter the ring against a boxer weighing 250 pounds. It wouldn't be fair, and fans wouldn't enjoy seeing such a contest. Imagine if it were possible to predict which teams will win the Super Bowl before the season even begins. The National Football League's appeal would certainly suffer as a result. If men and women competed against each other, the men would begin the competition with an unfair advantage, and the winner would be decided before the competition started. Where is the thrill or the excitement in that? Up next, some say that women won't catch up to men. When women are given equal opportunities to compete with males, the argument goes, they'll eventually achieve the same levels of skill and success as men. This is a valid point of view according to some. A vast portion of the American public believes that great female athletes will eventually beat top male athletes if they're allowed to compete against men on equal footing. If women are placed on an equal footing with males, this might inspire a large increase in the amount of talent that they possess. But this assertion ignores several essential factors. To begin with, advances in men's sports will occur at the same time as those in women's sports, making it more difficult for women to catch up. Secondly, and most importantly, the difference in performance levels between the sexes is simply too great, between 8 and 12%, making it difficult for women to close the gap. The leading female athletes in the 100-meter dash and the long jump are still approximately 10% behind their male counterparts. In addition, the best scores that women can achieve in swimming or athletics do not even make it into the top 400 of the men's scores. Even though women's physical capabilities will almost certainly improve in the future, and the performance gap will most definitely get smaller, it is extremely improbable that it will ever completely disappear, giving men an unfair advantage. Moreover, the transformation in sports may not be welcomed. It has been suggested that women will be able to participate successfully against males in a variety of sports if the regulations governing those sports are modified, as well as if new weight and length categories are included in the competitions. To boil it all down, some people have the opinion that it could be worthwhile to think about adapting the game so that they are more inclusive of women. On the contrary, it is difficult to believe that the American public would desire their preferred sports to undergo any kind of transformation. Fans were upset when the National Football League, the NFL, introduced the concussion protocol in an effort to preserve the lives of players. They believe that this change would make football unwatchable. In addition, fans were frustrated by Major League Baseball's decisions to prohibit collisions at home plate, and they continue to object to the use of instant replay in order to make better decisions. In this line, any adjustment that is made to sports to accommodate women would certainly face substantial opposition from supporters. This is because women are traditionally underrepresented in sports. Finally, the verdict. Although it would be a step forward in the fight against gender discrimination if women were allowed to compete against men in professional sports, this would make it less likely that upsets would occur and could fundamentally alter the character of the sports that people all over the world have grown to enjoy. However, it is important that both men and women are able to compete against one another. It is unacceptable for considerations of their physical condition or safety to be among the factors that keep them from competing. There is no such thing as a risk-free recreational activity. No matter what, the participants in sports will always put themselves in danger. The world is undergoing transformations, and despite these shifts, women will never stop fighting for equality. They are working to obtain respect among males and be regarded as equals in this fight by doing things like allowing men and women to compete against each other in sports. But the big question remains whether or not the people in positions of power in sports are willing to bridge the gap, even if it comes at the cost of some initial outcry. That's a wrap for this video. Would you want to see women and men competing against one another in sports? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.